Hey guys, welcome to today's video on how to use your energy to improve your relationships. So hello, and if you're new to my channel, where have you been? My name is Elika. I'm an energy optimization coach and a trusted advisor for purpose-driven leaders who want to have more energy because they understand that energy is the key to being able to make a big impact in your life. So if you like the sound of that and you want to subscribe to hearing more ways that you can have lifestyle habits that really maximize the energy that you have and allow your energy to really make a difference in everything that you do, then subscribe to this channel so that you can be notified as soon as I publish new videos. So let's go into today's topic. So if you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I would highly recommend you watch a video on the energy body. I'll make sure that I stick it in the description. And that really talks about the different layers of the energy body. And it just really helps you to contextualize something that could seem very abstract, but is very real. But in thinking about how you're going to use your energy to improve your relationships, the first thing I want to talk about is actually the physical body. And this is the first layer of our energy body. It's the things that people see first. When you walk into a room, you know, they say first impressions mean a lot. Well, what is the first impression? The first impression is actually your physical body that they see. Now we can go into all the different ways of, like, you know, our magnetic field, our aura, and all of those elements I love geeking out on in quantum physics. But this physical body. So what is your physical body representing energetically? Is it open, heart open, you know, heart forward, chest forward, you know, really receiving the energy of others and open to sharing yours? Or is it closed, you know, so shoulders hunched down and rolled over and heart pushed inwards, or, you know, even looking down. We all know, what does it mean to somebody when they see somebody that always looks down? It shows timidness, it shows anxiety. It's just not what people want to experience. Because here's the thing, when people see you with low energy, they naturally want to move away from you because they want to feel good. And feeling good comes from this feeling of like high energy. And the high energy frequencies, when we measure them in quantum frequency on a frequency chart, are joy, are excitement. As you know, the highest is enlightenment. I'm not there yet, but I definitely experience peace and joy, which are these highest frequencies. So ask yourself, what does peace look like to you in your physical body's expression? To me, peace looks like, so that was me taking myself into that frequency of peace. What does joy look like? Joy looks like, I mean, when I talk to my clients, when I'm with my closest connections, I experience joy because I've selected people that make me experience that. And so I experience more joy. Joy feels like, to me, when I order my matcha latte and I sit outside in a cafe in nature, it brings me so much joy. So that expression on the physical body is shown all the time. I've got to mention it. Salsa, it's like one of my biggest physical expressions of joy. When you see me dance, you will literally see an ear-to-ear grin because it brings me so much joy. So you want to think about, if you want to improve your relationships, when people look at you, what do they see? There's this term that I really don't like, but it's so true, that they call it RBF, resting bitch face, where you see, okay, it doesn't have to be a woman, it could be a man as well, this facial expression that's very much like frowning all the time. This is a prime example of how you know, your physical body coming to a room, a space, a person can really make a difference in the energy exchange that you have, and therefore either improve the relationship you have or decrease it. So let's move to how we make people feel. And I think the most powerful way of how we make people feel is through the words that we express, because a lot of us don't realize that words carry their own energetic frequency. When we think about words of it, endearment. I use a lot of them because I'm from the north of England, Yorkshire, and we use so many terms of endearment. So you will always hear me say things like babe and love and sweetheart and darling. It's really embarrassing sometimes because I catch myself in situations where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just called that person sweetheart. In fact, when I used to have my restaurant, I remember saying to like the most white collar like guy that you could find, like just like salt of the mill, down to earth guy. I remember saying to him, "Oh, here you go, sweetheart," and he went, "Hang on a minute, let's just get something straight. The only person that is a sweetheart is you." And I remember in that moment thinking, "Oh my God, I can't believe I called him sweetheart," because it just comes so natural to me. And these are words of endearments. They touch people's heart. I don't strategically choose them. In fact, sometimes I mistakenly say them to the wrong people. But these are words that really allow us to bring our relationships to a higher place. And think of all the words that are low frequency on the frequency chart. So low frequency could be like when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling tired, exhausted, when you're in a fearful state. So, you know, when we're in these conditions, our body is emitting a frequency that you might not necessarily know consciously, but that can alter the language that we use. So I no longer listen to rap music because I don't want to hear about people dying, people getting killed, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do to your mom, blah, blah, blah. Like all of that frequency is low frequency to me. Even when I watch horror movies now, I can't deal with the shooting and the killing of people and all of that. And why? Because the sounds of that, you know, gun sounds to me is not a high frequency. It jolts my body and that puts me in a fear state. So can you see how sound and the words that we use, which are just expressions of sound, they can alter another person because they are low frequencies of energy. And so if we want to really improve our relationships, we want to think about, you know, this glass half full mentality as opposed to glass half empty. So if I wanted to say to you that if I wanted to put some, let's say, emotional, if I wanted to put some boundaries in place, personal boundaries in place, which is a big thing in our relationships, right? And I must say to you that when you put boundaries in place, honestly, so much of it is energetically and not actually by having to say something. And the idea that we have to say something, that fear is what stops most people putting in place their personal boundaries. But let's say if we want to put in a personal boundary, I could say to someone, I don't ever want you to come to my house again because when you're in a bad mood, because you just make me feel like crap. Example. Or I could say, I really feel sad whenever I see you come to my home and you're always, you know, not feeling in a great place. It makes me feel so sad. And, you know, I don't want to feel that way whenever we connect this way. And this is very much, you know, what you could do to put in a personal boundary, but you choosing your words in a high frequency. And I'll give you a tip on this. And I realize I should do a whole video around this communication piece. It's so big. But whenever we talk about how we feel, our emotions, because our emotions is energy in motion, it's literally frequencies of energy that are moving through us. When we talk about how we feel and we focus that on, our communication is so much better and so much connected to the other person's heart than when we talk about what that other person did. We're typically having to say, you did this, you make me feel, you did. That just never works. Honestly, this communication was something that took me so long to master in my life. I was like the queen of, you did this, you made me feel this, you are this. Like literally, I used to be you so much. And I remember myself training myself to use new words. And I also remember thinking that it wasn't possible for me not to speak that way. I actually remember being the person that used to say, that's just the way that I talk. Oh my God. I could cry now thinking about it. And the truth is, because I hadn't made the decision that I get to communicate from a higher place, from a more collaborative place, from a more connected relationship place, I hadn't made that decision. I was not focused on practicing the words and the energy that I needed to give into relationships through improved communication. And so I would really would really invite you to look at how could you focus on how you feel and expressing that to somebody through your emotions that are indicators of how you feel versus telling the person on the physical action or the things that actually did that you didn't like. So our words are obviously very powerful, and choosing these high frequency words that that bring this heart-to-heart connection between people, that's what's going to improve your relationships. Now let's talk about how we're going to make people feel from this mind-to-mind space. So on the layers of the physical body, I call this the mental layer of the energy body. So here's the thing about the mind. The mind is very beautiful in the fact that it does exactly what you tell it to do. And so most people choose low vibe thinking, they ask their brain very low frequency questions. Let me give you examples. So you could say, oh, I don't know, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. Or you could say, this is proving difficult to me. What would be the easiest solution that I could find? Now your brain is focused on finding the easiest solution instead of your brain going, well, we can't figure it out, so let's just shut down and not work and give you answers and solutions because, we can't figure it out. So do you see how your brain does exactly what you tell it to do? So that's just a little kind of indicator of how the brain works. But deeper than that is the fact that most of us are exhausted, suffering from mental stress and strain, not sleeping well, and therefore not getting the absolute repair that the brain does. Where our brain, every organ in the body has a time in which it repairs, and the brain really has that repair time when you sleep. And that's why you have to really think about sleep not being sleeping in the morning and going to bed late. You have to really think about this beautiful window between, I would say, 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., which really allows the brain to do what it does. It releases a fluid. It literally is like a little brainwash, a little hose, washing out the brain, creating and repairing new cells. I'm really simplifying this to make it easy for people, but the brain is doing this precious repair that creates your memories. And if you don't sleep, not only is your physical body tired, but your brain can't function right. So how can you think of the right words? How can you communicate from the highest expression when your brain isn't functioning right? Right? If you don't give your body the food that it needs, the nutrients it needs, your brain needs healthy fats. Your brain, if we think about fish oil, these omega-3s that are anti-inflammatory for the body, these help the brain. If you don't give your brain the nutrients it needs, how can it function to make strategic decisions about how you can connect with others and how you can choose words that bring people up when you speak to them as opposed to putting them down? And so sleep, the nutrients, the self-care, whether you choose meditation, the time in nature. I love this, talking about time in nature. These are all things that we do to bring ourselves into an energetic state that allows us to then, therefore, from a mind to mind, choose better thoughts, have a better expression. If I am stressed, how can I communicate to you in a good way? When I'm just still trying to take care of myself, I'm in survival mode. Honestly, when you're stressed, you are in survival mode. Your body's nervous system is going to be in fight or flight. Your body's evolutionary patterns is designed when it's in fight or flight to run away, to defend, to protect, not to open, not to share my heart, not to be vulnerable, right? That's not how we have evolved to be wired when we're under deep stress. And so we have to train ourselves to energetically put our body and our nervous system into calm, into rest and relax mode, to look at the parasympathetic system where it feels like it is in rest. And from that place, the body is more open, our expressions are more open, our heart is more connected to others. We can feel and experience more others' emotions because we're in tune with ourselves. We're in overflow of our energy, and in that overflow we can give to others. And so this is so important when we're thinking about, really taking care of our mental well-being so that we can then connect better with others. So the last thing I want to talk about on how we can improve our relationships through energy is the exchange of energy that we have with others. And the way that we've got to think about this is we can do all of these things, but if we are magnetizing the wrong people into our lives and we are trying to do all these things, speak well to them, watch our body language around them so that we're more open and inviting, energetically make them feel good by taking care of our mental state and therefore taking care of their mental state where we can, right? It's not our full responsibility to take care of others. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves first so we can overflow that beautiful energy into others. So if we're doing all these, but we're doing this with the wrong people, you don't stand a chance. Because you all know, and if you don't look at my videos around relationships, you all know that there's going to be those relationship vampires that just want to take from you. They just take, and they don't know anything different. If a person is drowning, unfortunately, as human beings, when we are drowning, if you jump in to try and save me, I'm going to pull you down in order to save myself. So we are alive today because unfortunately, or fortunately, our ancestors probably did some horrible things in order to survive. We are evolved from people who have found survival of the fittest. They found a way to survive against all the odds that was out there. And so it's human nature to survive. And in doing that, we have to select people that are operating at an energetic frequency that is high enough for them to vibrate at our frequency, or at least higher. Sorry, at least our frequency or higher, but at least not be able to drown us. And so I see too many people go on this path of personal growth and they want all these things in their life. They want to attract the right relationships, but they're surrounded by people that are operating a different frequency. If you want to lose weight and all your friends are overweight, I don't care whether this is politically correct, it's going to be difficult to do so because they're going to influence you with their frequency. They're going to influence you with the things that they read, the books that the books that they read, the podcasts that they listen to, the food that they eat because of the restaurants that they go to. When they invite you to their home and they cook you a meal, then they're gonna cook with processed seed oils. They're gonna put sugar in the sauce. All of these things are going to impact you. Whereas when your friends are healthy and active and they care about being in the right size body, you go to their house, you eat, you don't necessarily have to be on edge as much. You spend time with them. You don't have to worry about the restaurants that they want to go to that you don't want to go to. All of these things are an impact of the people that you choose. And so you have to understand that at some point in your journey, you have to look around and you have to understand this phrase. I think it was originally a Jim Rohn phrase where he said that the 10 people that you surround I don't want to butcher this phrase like I do with phrases. You are the oh my God, I'm butchering the phrase. I think you know what I'm saying, but basically the people that you spend the most time with, they're the ones that influence you the most. It's like something like you are the energy and the frequency of the people that you spend, the 10 people that you spend the most time with. Butchering the phrase. I always butcher phrases. I think I should just literally always create my own. But you get the point. Is on it, and I actually want to talk about a little bit about the science of this because I just think it's so important that people know that these phrases, some of them are just plucked out of air, but honestly, there's a lot of depth to some of these phrases. Is that when you are emitting a certain frequency, which emotions, fear, grief, let's say anger, excitement, joy, happiness, these are frequencies that we emit. They can be measured, right? This is not just some woo-woo like, oh my God, frequency, These all can be measured. How you make someone feel, right? An opera singer that sings at a certain pitch can break glass because sound has a frequency. We use sound frequency. You've probably heard of ultrasound, right? When women are pregnant and they go for ultrasound to see the baby, these have been used in healing in many medical ways. So when we are with others, we emit a frequency that people pick up on. When somebody walks into a room, you can tell, oh my God, I love her vibe. Or sometimes you're just like, oh God, that person, or you walk into a room and you feel the energy of the room and it feels low. So this energy exchange is happening all of the time. And so if somebody's energy, their frequencies is always quite low. I don't mean when close friend or partner goes through a hard time and you have to hold the space for them for a certain period of time, like grief of a family member dying or something like that, or when all the many reasons why people grieve, and holding the space for them, that's part of relationships. But what I mean is that that this person, no matter what happens, no matter what changes, no matter what information you give them, doesn't change. And whenever you're around them, you notice that you feel less vibe. You feel low frequency. You feel sadness. You feel anger. You feel frustrated. You just don't feel good. Then you have to make a decision to actually be around people that when you're around them, you feel the joy, you feel good. That's a decision that you have to make. And when you make that decision, you will understand that the other things that we've talked about in terms of improving your relationships through energy, they won't work if you're always selecting the wrong people. So let's pull this all together. I hope you've enjoyed this. So we talked about all the different ways that you can use energy to improve your relationships. We talked about this body language. Are you open, heart out, open to receive, open to share? We talked about, how you make people feel, the choice of words that you use and how they vibrate on people. We can use high frequency words, that bring excitement and joy and happiness, or we can use low frequency, glass half full, glass half empty. We also talked about, the self-care that's needed, the sleep, the rest, the peace, the time in nature that allows our mental capacity to be open, to be able to not be stressed, our nervous system to be calm in order to be able to give to others. And then lastly, we talked about choosing the right people so that we can have that exchange in energy. And when you pull these together and you start working on this, you will see how you are able to really improve your relationships through your energy. And if you love this video, as much as I loved sharing it with you, please like the video so that we can make sure that more people can really focus on giving a greater impact to the world by having a better impact on the people that they connect with, because they focus on what is our most valuable currency first, which is working on our energy. Okay, so if you like that, please like the video, and if you want to know more about other videos then that I'm going to share around this topic, then subscribe. And I will make sure it's in the description box, but I do always share lots of beautiful experiences of where I audit energy in my own life through my newsletter. And I just share openly, things that I'm experiencing, things that I'm going through with my clients, and just, insights on how I live this as a lifestyle by managing my energy first. And if you like that, then I'll make sure it's in the description box, some of the details to my newsletter. Sign up for it. I send one once a week, and it can just really help you to be always staying on top of these things in your life. So until the next video, see